I've been hardcore kayak fishing for about a decade, and one of the reasons I got into it, I love the physical nature of kayak fishing. I love the paddling or the pedaling. I've never been a motor guy, but there are some instances and with some rigs where a motor adds so much incredible utility, especially to a boat like this, that you only have a paddle provision. So being able to hands-free fish with foot pedals is a huge advantage. And this past year, I've used this NK180PRO quite a bit, and I am super impressed. It's a little intimidating if you haven't used a motor, figuring out, okay, how do I rig it? Where are my cables going to go? Especially when you're talking about a foot steered model. You can use this either way. You can pin it down and just use, if you have a rudder, the rudder of your boat to steer it. Since this one doesn't have a rudder, I needed to install foot control steering, which I like better anyway, because you get more range of motion from the motor. So let's talk a little bit about this 180 Pro, why I like it so much. First off, it's incredibly lightweight. The motor itself is right around 14 pounds. The battery adds another 24-ish pounds. Their specialized battery, which I really like from Newport because it has Bluetooth and I can see the battery condition on my cell phone. But this motor was exceptionally easy to install. So we got this plate from Crescent. It screws right into the handle mounting brackets. Then we put on the mounting plate, drop in the motor. And the other thing I'll say about the Newport rigs, like there is nothing else extra. The hassle sometimes of getting a product, then having to go to the hardware store for a pin, a bolt, a nut, like they oversupply you with parts for rigging this on just about any boat that you can think of. It is a really complete system. And for $1,000, I consider it an incredible value. In addition to the hands-free ability that it offers, it also gives you incredible range. So I just wanted to share some of the stats about this maintenance-free, completely brushless motor. It's equivalent to about a 1.8, 2 horsepower, something in the lines of a 65 to 70 pound electric troll motor comparison. It operates on a 24 volt, 50 amp battery. So if you have batteries, great. You don't need to add anything extra. So it needs a 24 volt battery, and in a 12 to 14 foot boat at 3 miles an hour, you'll get approximately 17 miles or 6 hours. And at a typical trolling speed of 2 miles an hour, you can go for 40 miles or 20 hours. It's just insane the run time that you get from this rig. I mean, even if you go flat out, there'll still be fishing situations where you're never going to deplete this battery fully. They also have a really big program right now, value program. The motor runs $9.99, and from Newport, you can get a 24 volt, 50 amp battery, a plate that will hold the control unit, and a charger for under $700. So under $1,700 all in. If you don't have a battery, I consider that an incredible value to get more utility out of your rigs. Like I said, it seems intimidating the first time you're thinking about rigging one of these. I can tell you it was a breeze. You'll spend the most time figuring out how you're going to run your cable tubing and your cords and getting access to the boat. This is a sealed boat, this Crescent Crew. I started this project last winter, and the Crew is a tandem boat that I adopted. Lots of people in the Southeast and in Florida were rigging this boat up as a single because you can move the seats from being right in the middle to having a seat there, and it comes with another seat. So you can have a family tandem boat, pop the forward seat out, and the rear seat sits a little higher than the front seat. And I chose to, like at the time, this was the only large boat that Crescent offered. They have since come out with the CK2, which is really the build I did on this boat. They offer it right from the factory this way with a single seat. But let me walk you through what we did. To gain hull access, we put in this through hull wiring kit from Yak Attack, and that is simply because up front I ran a hole, 3/16 inch hole with a piece of tubing and a wire at the front of it. I pushed the wire all the way back here. I had this 1-inch hole that I could reach another hook down in, so I could pick up the wire and direct it into this frog eye back here and eventually pull the tubing through so I could run cables. So you need to get access. I also put a front hatch in so that on each of these Yak Attack heavy duty anodized rails, I've got a backing plate under there. So heavy trolling rods, heavy electronics, like this is the most heavy duty mount that you can do. And getting the backing plate under there, there's a great video on Yak Attack on how to use rigging bullets, and that's what I did for this part of the install. So we ran the cables through the grommets, and then we came out up front here and we brought the tubing out right here. Then we ran the tubing underneath this foot peg rail and put it right here on the new sliding Sea Dog Marine foot pegs. So you take out this old foot peg, you put in the sliding, and it's 2 screws and you're ready to go. You need about 3.5 inches of travel, which I have here on this motor on either side. So it kept that tubing right underneath here. I put a little grommet to terminate it so the tubing couldn't pull out. It's nice and hidden, can't get hooks in it, can't catch on anything. It's a wonderful application. Up here in the bow, as I said, this is a great bow cover that comes with the Crew and the CK2, depending on which version you buy. I put in this bow hatch here so I had access to run the backing plates under. The CK2 has a bow hatch installed, as does, it comes with rails. The Crew does not come with rails, you have to add those. But this is a boat with 600-pound capacity. It's 13 foot long, it's 35 inches wide. You can pile 2 people, you could even fit, you had 2 small kids, you can fit 3 people in here. It's an incredibly stable boat. And it still paddles super well. It's one of the reasons it's so popular for those offshore fishing adventures, the guys that are using it as a solo boat, because they can load it up with big coolers for kingfish and mahi-mahi, all sorts of big species that you need that extra carrying capacity for. So we're going to get this boat on the water. We're going to show you how it performs with this Newport NK180PRO, and we are just absolutely tickled with how well this boat runs. I want to mention as well, we're a multimedia company, Kayak Fishing Fun. We produce an annual big thick magazine that you can find at osgnewsstand.com, where we detail every build that we do and do massive boat reviews on a big selection of different boats and show you all the various rigging options. So let's get this on the water and we'll show you how this motor performs. Okay, so our NK180 Pro worked flawlessly. Absolutely perfect amount of power. This is the Crescent Crew / CK2 hybrid that we built last winter. So just absolutely delighted with the motor's performance, its quietness, its range, its power. It's got the triple whammy going for it, so highly recommended.